What's up, guys? I'm Ty,
And I'm Max.
and this is the Wilderness Whiskey Roundtable. We are on week number 5.
Yep. Take 5, episode 5.
Take 5, episode 5. We've actually restarted this episode now 5 total times because we keep having reverberations from our mics.
Yeah. Something weird going on. Obviously, still rookies at this. But that being said, we did just look at the Spotify reports and pleasantly surprised. So we have to thank you guys.
Big shout out to the fans, whomever they are. Big, tall, small, short, little, whatever you call yourself, we appreciate you.
We've been getting some good feedback. Just
Yeah.
kind of randomly getting approached by some people that we would never expect to have even listened. So thank
Yeah.
you guys. The support is astounding. It's kind of weird.
And we love to hear what's working, what's not, so on and so forth. So keep it coming. If you like what we're doing, let us know. And even more so, if you don't like it, let us know why. Because we'd like to fix it. We'd like to keep everybody we can happy.
Yeah, that being said, we did get some feedback on the audio quality. We're trying something a little different this week, so I hope it works out okay. But we did order some new equipment, so
We are sharing a mic. We're
We are.
sitting very close to each other today.
we are very close.
It's very intimate today.
So we're gonna get pretty sappy. We're gonna talk about some heartfelt things.
Yeah, roses,
If you cry,
cuddling.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into it. We're already smoking Stogs.
We're sharing one.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We're actually like puffing on it at the same time, even just so we
Just sharing the same hole.
that 50-50 split. We're just all about it in this relationship.
Yeah, that's good business partnership, good friendship, good
Good everything.
everything.
No, welcome back, guys. We're excited. We got some Canada updates today. Obviously a new whiskey, like always, and we're gonna just touch on some little more fishing stuff still, some turkey stuff that's starting up, so
Yep.
it's exciting.
And I think we're going to throw a new segment in this week. So, again, give us some feedback on what you think of it. I think it'll be useful to some of the listeners.
Yeah. And if you hate it, also let us know. Gosh, episode 5 already. That's absolutely bonkers to
Crazy.
me. The fact that our following is growing as much as it has is insane. We both went to look at it for the first time, actually, since we started it. We were kind of neglecting to do so because we're like, nope, if we look at it, it just changes it.
Yep.
And we finally broke down and did it, and we were pleasantly surprised, actually. So that's really fun.
Yeah, and I think our, fear for failure was kind of getting the best of us, too. We do want to see this succeed as much as we love just talking this stuff all the time. It's one of those things where, we do hope that people are listening and gaining something from it, or at least, just enjoying the time. So it was one of those things where it was like, oh, I don't want to listen to that, look at it and see a fat goose egg,
Right.
and it was cool to see that some of you guys are actually really, really enjoying this. And we, like I said, we appreciate it a ton.
Well, and you were approached, what?
It was Friday?
Thursday, Friday. By a gentleman in the bar there, and he's like, "Hey, you guys' podcast is awesome," and he's like, "I don't even really, relate or care that much about what you're talking about, but it's entertaining." And
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. That made us feel real good and got us really excited to just keep doing it. Not that we weren't going to anyways, but it doubled the excitement. Honestly, I was like, I had so much drive after that. I'm like, okay, we got to get on here. We got to get this done. We got to make more notes on what we can talk about. And so, again, appreciate you guys. And we're going to keep this thing going.
Yeah. It was really cool. It was reassuring, and I was waiting all week to do this episode because I was just freaking pumped knowing that there are more people that care about this than what we even thought, and it's amazing.
Once we get good at editing and consistently posting too, which bear with us because again, last week we had technical issues with our systems that we're using, and then something is in limbo for recording. So I'm gonna put it up tonight from last week. typically though, going forward, we're gonna try for Tuesdays. That's our goal, is to consistently be up. So again, bear with us. This one's on me. I'm the editor, if you will. And
Well, and that being said, dude, like, we've got so much stuff going on.
Mhm.
Like, once everything gets ironed out, it's going to be a lot easier. But I've been neglecting posting in general, too, because I've just been so damn busy. So,
no,
what do you mean? There it is again.
no. I meant like that's the technical issues we've been having
Yeah.
with this system specifically.
Yes.
So exciting news! We've been talking about it for 3 frickin' weeks now. We did order. Well, I mean,
It's ordered.
we ordered new equipment like 2 other times, and it's just not been what we need, which is frustrating too. But we finally just ordered, literally from the bottom up.
Just one synonymous
One.
system.
Yep, and I think it's gonna be amazing.
Yep, and it opens the doors. It's actually made for us to do remote stuff, so it's going to work hopefully extremely well when we're separated, when we have guests on, all of that stuff. It should just be significantly better. So, fingers crossed. Next week, everything will be absolutely ironed out. We'll have a consistent schedule. Things will start to settle down for all of us. So the social media stuff and just everything can be to the standard that we want it to be.
And in like a synonymous platform, because I've actually been working on YouTube stuff for 3 days now.
Yeah, longer than you'd like to admit. 'Cause
Right.
It just shouldn't be that complicated, but this stuff actually is.
Right, just trying to figure out like, and for some people it's probably fairly simple, and we're gonna sound like idiots, but that's fine because we're just not used to doing any of this. We're so new at it to the point where it's like, okay, well, I don't know Peter from Paul, and we're juggling dice over here basically. So
Yeah.
we're gonna keep working at it. We're gonna just keep trying to put out good content. So if you can bear through the ones from the past that aren't as great, Mike's, and just listen to the content, I think everybody's gonna be good with it.
Yeah, and I think this will be really cool to eventually sit back and look on and kind of laugh at and
Be like, God, look at how shitty that was.
yeah, and I hope that we do pick up some new listeners along the way that kind of binge our initial stuff and then tip into our better edited and better performed stuff.
Yep.
And they're like, wow, like, good on them.
Mm-hmm.
We got it figured out finally. So,
Jeez, I mean, we're just about at the point where we could start our own channel about reviewing microphones and systems at this point. Like, kind of like that guy on YouTube who unboxes stuff and like, reviews it. And I'm like, we're like halfway there in just the last couple months because we've ordered and sent back and played with and messed with. Like, we're using Podcastle currently for our streaming app, and if you look at my actual the home page there, we've got like 30 different, they call them projects,
yeah.
and probably 15 to 20 of those are just us messing with microphones, or just kind of screwing around to see what they do.
Yeah, just garbage stuff of just trial and error trying to figure this stuff out. It's crazy.
So, anyways, this week, let's touch on some Canada stuff right off the bat. I think some people are kind of excited to see where you're at with that aspect of things. What do you got to update us with?
Yeah, so we've been getting approached with it a lot. A lot of congratulations, a lot of, what's up, what are you up to? Right now, we are just packing. We are packing the amount of stuff that we want to bring up for our guests, for our remodels of the cabins. We're getting some stuff situated for the boats and stuff like that. And it's just a lot of stuff. I mean, we have a whole shed that's packed to the brim. Like, I don't even know if we could open the door on it without it burying ourselves.
Just collapsing in on you, essentially.
Yeah. And, we had been slowly working on it for a while. And we just found out that we need to be more specific on how we document what we're bringing into another country.
Mm-hmm.
Which, kind of a kick in the teeth when you just packed a trailer to unpack it to repack it. But
you're telling me you didn't want to do that?
No.
Sounds exciting.
I think I got better things to do with my time. But we need to basically say what brand it is, what color it is, what it's made of, when it was made, where it was made, whether it was U.S. or China or yeah,
Holy crap! I mean, it's that extensive.
it's extremely extensive. And then what we paid for it, and then the quantity that we have.
How do you even I mean, how do you viably maintain all of that information?
Oh, they want like certificates of origin. When's the last time you bought something and they handed you a piece of paper that says, "Oh, proudly made in the U.S. of A."
Yeah,
Never.
that's
It's not even a real thing, I don't think.
not even the things that come from China. The only thing you can
No, you get a stamp on the
verify
bottom
is,
of it.
like you look on the bottom of it, and there's a
Or the
little
tag.
gold tag that's a
Yeah.
sticker that says "Made in China."
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, like, we obviously can't even provide origin for the stuff that came from the United States. So I don't know what it's going to turn into. But it's just all the formal documentation that we have to have as we bring this stuff across. So we're kind of kicking ourselves for wanting to do as much as we're going to do, but we want to provide that for our customers too. So,
Mhm.
you know, we want the cabins to be nice and very, livable friendly and all of that stuff. Like, I get it's a fishing cabin, but
Still, you want to have like certain amenities that. I mean, some people are going for super rustic, but I mean, I feel like you guys are kind of tipping more into like the goal is to be more of that middle of the road. Not quite super rustic, but not quite, super bougie. You're
Well,
not glamping by any means
yeah,
either.
like we want to maintain the cabin vibe, but we also want it to be like semi-resort like feeling.
Mhm.
It's a camp, but it's also a resort. But like,
It's got to be comfortable.
yeah, and you're paying good money to come.
Hmm.
And the fishing, I think, is well worth the money alone. But at the same time, I want it to be a desirable place to be when you're not fishing at the same time.
And I mean, it's not like you're talking, bougie hotel Marriott or anything either, which in my eyes, I'd rather stay in a cabin anyways.
Correct. Yeah.
But most people, I think, going to do this type of thing agree with that too.
Yes.
But it's going to be, I guess the best way to put it in my mind would be rustic nice.
Yes. Yeah.
Nicely rustic?
Nicely rustic.
Nicely rustic.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, we want curtains on the wall,
Yeah,
so it's like you
right.
got to bring curtain rods and curtains, and like, I don't know when the pillows were last changed because we're just taking this thing over, so we're bringing new pillow, so it's
Yeah.
just like there's certain steps that you need to take to make this our own, and it comes with a lot of a long process, and that's kind of what we're working through right now.
Something you should do to mitigate some of your space when it comes to pillows, blankets, curtains, all that shit. And I would just verify this with customs up there, but vacuum bag them all.
So they are currently.
Okay.
Our big thing is, yeah, I don't know what extent they're gonna tear into these trailers. Are they ripping bags open? Are they?
Are you bringing generators?
Yep.
Good. So if they rip the vacuum bag open, bring a generator with a vacuum.
Yeah, I guess we can reseal everything. But you know what I mean? Like, these are big trailers. Like,
Right.
if they're gonna pull all this stuff out, it's gonna be hours and hours at the border putting this stuff even back together. Let alone having them look through everything.
But the fact that you're anticipating this, I think you guys are going to fare better for it because you're not getting blindsided by it to where it's like, what do you mean we're going to be here for 3-4 hours? If you just go up there with the expectation, like more than likely they're going to tear it apart,
Yeah.
which, whatever. It's not like you're smuggling drugs into the freaking country.
Well, right, yeah, tear it apart
know.
by all means. Like, everything is
Yeah.
going to be accounted for. We're doing our due diligence from
Yeah.
that standpoint.
And maybe having all your paperwork in line and stuff like that will expedite the process. But even if not, allot enough time for you guys to be able to get all your shit up there before you open too.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I suppose there's a learning curve.
Yeah,
a
well,
little
right,
bit.
right. We're thinking we bring one trailer up and see what the process is like before we get in a giant line and spend the whole day at the border, I guess. But who knows? We just sent off the pontoon to Mapleton Marine,
The barge there?
the old barge, yeah,
Really?
the old Canadian cruiser.
Okay.
They're wiring the old or doing the whole gas line, fuel tank, hydraulics. They're putting the motor on. So that should be buttoned up and ready to go here probably next week, which is awesome. That's one less thing to worry about. We picked up the trailer for my boat yesterday. Got that primed up and everything. We're gonna Rhino line it here next week. And I think the boats come like the last week in March. So
Okay, so here's a question for you with the boat. How does that work? So you obviously have to have it on a trailer to get it up there. Duh.
Yep.
So once you're up there, what does it look like? So you put your boat in the water, and then what do you do with your trailer? I mean, is there a spot to park it for long periods of time, or does it get drug all the way back?
nope. So all of our vehicles, all of our trailers will sit in the landing.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the season.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Obviously we'll be making our rounds back and forth to pick up people, go back into town to get gas, get fuel, get food. So I don't think it'll sit for more than a day, probably at a time, unchecked.
Oh, yeah.
As far as us checking on.
I
our
was
stuff
thinking
and
you were like
everything.
re-trailering them or something, but
Nope. So all of the boats will sit on the docks. Everything will be tied off to the docks and everything.
Okay.
We got enough slips and everything for all the boats and everything. So,
so it's a pretty unique docking system that I've never really seen before. Just with how you kind of just run them right up on like those wood slat slips.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool, actually. I've never seen it. I don't know if you have prior to this.
not to this extent. Like some of the other resorts that I've been to and stuff like that. They run a similar thing so that they don't have to pull everything every time they finish up, or go get stuff every time they come out.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little bit different, obviously, with our whole like one road in, one road out type deal.
Mm-hmm.
You have to shuttle everything across the lake and basically leave everything on the other side. But at the same time, your customers and your clients are there already for a 5-day period. It's just easier to have them walk to the end of the dock, jump on a boat, and go.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of neat.
Right. So at the end of your seasons, not that that matters yet because you haven't started it, but do you guys bring all the boats back?
So the 16-footers stay. They just get pulled up on shore.
Okay.
We pull the motors off. Those get put in storage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the previous owners used to use their 20-footers as their shuttling across the lake to go get gas and food and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're going to use the pontoon for that, so we've just switched the 20-footers to an upgrade option for the people staying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do with those yet. I believe the previous owners took those home with them. But obviously, we're going to have our 2 guide boats and the pontoon. I think those will be the big priority that we'll obviously bring home, and then we'll kind of see what we're going to do with the 20-footers.
You are bringing that pontoon all the way back?
Yep.
Okay. It's too bad you couldn't somehow, like, cart an old beater truck and a pontoon trailer across somehow, some way.
Yeah, we thought about doing that in the winter.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know what the snow's like up there, too.
Mm-hmm.
We plan on doing some live cameras and stuff like that to just keep tabs on the weather and how much ice, when the ice out, how much snow there is, what the water levels will be, all that. So that would be kind of nice, if we could find a time where there's plenty of ice and not a lot of snow. I think we would very highly consider driving a couple things across and leaving it there.
Mm-hmm.
Even like a mini excavator,
right,
or a skiddy or something like that,
just to
have on site, because there's going to be a time where you need to move something or lift something, and you just can't do it with sheer manpower.
Yeah, I guess that's things I never thought about either. It's just like you run into situations where you're moving heavy objects, and it's like, oh well, we can't because we don't have anything to move said object.
Yeah, we got a new sign that's gonna. I mean, it's 15 feet in the air. How the hell do you get it up there?
Really fancy pulley system?
That's exactly what it's going to be. You put a couple pulleys on the post, and you hope to God you can get her up there.
And it
hook it up to the golf cart and
drive like
pull real hard. Yeah.
All right, you ready? Yeah, we're good. Give her hell. You just rip it up there.
You tear the back bumper off of the golf cart or something.
And the whole thing falls. Oh, God. Is there a golf cart out there?
No, we're shuttling that across the tuner.
Fair enough. Well, you have, a couple 4-wheelers out there, too?
I think so, yep.
Is there, like, anything around the resort at all? As far as like trail land, anything like that?
A lot of public land. There's also a reservation, so there's plenty of public land. You can hike it, you can walk it. We're planning on, hopefully getting the approval to make either like a walking circle or something. People are bringing their dogs up, or they just want to walk in the morning or something. But that would probably be predominantly the land that we would hunt if we get approval to hunt.
It'd be really cool if you could make like a 4-wheeler trail.
That'd be cool. Rip around out there.
I mean,
rent
just
a couple 4-wheelers for a few hours, and
right, even if you could you just cart across, 6 4-wheelers, and if people want to rent them, they're there.
Yeah. In worst case, we use them for day-to-day stuff anyways.
Mm-hmm. Huh. No, that'd be sweet. I don't know how that works, Canada side, because I know down here, like, you go up north, and that's what up north is
right.
You're riding 4-wheelers or you're fishing.
Right.
In the summertime anyways. Well, and I guess in the winter, too, you're riding snowmobile or you're fishing.
Yep.
So, it'd be cool to have. I don't know what the, like I said, what the stipulations are on ripping through the woods either, though.
Yeah, and I don't know if we'll know that till we get up there, probably.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. How many trailer loads do you think you're taking?
4 or 5, probably, at this rate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of driving.
Yeah.
How many miles is it?
Well, it's 12, 13, 14 hours, depending on how fast you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trek.
I'm wondering if it's not an oil change every time you go up and back.
Oh, probably.
Gotta be close.
I would bet.
That's insane.
Yeah, I want to friggin' roll over in my grave thinking about what that diesel bill will be on that big dog.
Yikes! Especially pulling a trailer. Even, I mean, you're still only getting. I think the range is like 8 to 12, but if your trailer is super loaded, you're not getting 8 to 12. You're getting 6.
Probably sub 5. Yeah.
So
I'm still wondering if we're gonna make it in one day.
Yikes! Yeah, that's a tough one too.
When you're talking border crossing time and everything, I can't imagine.
Especially if you get hung up at the border, because if you're there for 4 hours, that's an extra 4 hours in your already 14-hour trip. So now you're talking 18 hours.
Unless you're letting me nap while you tear my trailer apart.
Right.
Then we can talk, but I'm assuming that's not the case either.
Just bring a couple cots that just ride in the cab with you, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go take a nap now. You guys
don't mind me. I'm just going to pop this up over here.
Yeah, just if you
wake
need
me up when you're done.
Let me know, because I'm right here, but I need a fucking nap.
Yeah, please don't wake me.
Yeah, just leave me alone. No, well, it's great. You guys are making headway at least, which has got to feel good.
Yes.
Little setbacks here and there, but I mean,
yeah, it's just a learning curve. It's something that, we're, like I said, we're dealing with another country, basically. You gotta abide by their rules, and we're kind of learning them as we go.
You're taking on a resort. It's no
small feat.
No, not at all. It was never like, this will be easy. It's, so if you go into it with that mindset, whatever does come your way, you end up just being like, oh, it's shitty, but such is life.
Yeah, we kind of knew that going in.
Okay, so what's next on our list here today?
Let's talk about stuff down here.
Yeah, let's do it.
The weather's been really freaking nice.
Yeah, we hit 78.
Almost 80 degrees in March. In mid-March.
What is it? It's hardly mid-March. It's
13th.
The 13th.
It's not
today,
mid-March.
And 2 days ago it was 78 degrees.
Yeah.
A
lot of birds, a lot of waterfowl are pushing back up. We're starting to see a lot of traction in the air.
Well, and most of them, I feel like, probably never went that far.
God, they probably didn't make it past Iowa.
No, there's no way, because we've been seeing geese and tons of geese over in Mankato for, what, almost a month now?
Almost a month, 3 weeks, yeah.
Which is insane, because it looks like fall over there.
Yeah.
Like when they're in that Fleet Farm frickin' water section back there, and you drive into Mankato and all you see is geese.
Hundreds and hundreds of birds.
It's wild. It is nice. I mean, at this point, like we've talked about, we had given up on ice fishing a long time ago anyways, so we just accepted it. What I would prefer is it just pick a season though, because god damn it, we hit these almost 80s,
Yeah, it's summer.
and then now I think later in the week here it's supposed to drop again,
Friday, I think it's supposed to be like 30 degrees again.
which is so dumb.
And we might get snow.
It's dumb. I don't like it. If we're done with it, I put my winter shit away.
Silly.
I literally put my coats away. I'm I'm gonna wash my bibs.
Actually, this time?
I'm actually gonna wash my bibs. I didn't last week yet. They're hanging over the rail. But
we'll provide you with information on how to wash your bibs next episode.
No, I can tell you.
Oh, you
I
figured
Googled
it out?
I did.
All
I
right,
did.
you
It's
got it.
easy. It's stupid because I thought it was harder. But my way is actually, in my opinion, better. They say throw it in the frickin' wash machine. But I'm not doing that. So what I've done the last 2 years, and it works, is I just take a washcloth and a bucket of fucking water, and I scrub, especially like because you know where you're wiping your hands on your bibs.
Yeah.
Every time you fish.
Yep.
You know. And I took a washcloth. I scrub it down good. They get kind of saturated a little bit after the scrubbing. It takes me like 20 minutes to do the whole set of bibs. I hang them up in front of a fan, let them dry out, and then even if it's a couple days, 1 day in front of the fan, and then you just air dry them for a day or two.
Yep.
And then I vac seal all my stuff just to keep it from breaking down anymore. I don't know what the science is behind it or anything, but it just makes me feel better. So I actually put them in the vac bags.
Well, and I think too, like it keeps rodents and moths and just off of everything.
Exactly. I don't have to worry about
just
it
from that extent.
And so I do that, and I throw it in a tote in the garage, and you're good to go until next year. And then you open your stuff up, and it's fresh. So
Yep.
that's how I do it anyways. If you guys have any better ways of doing things or whatever, with your gear as far as, cleanup goes, because I'll tell you right now, the first couple years, especially owning like nicer stuff once I upgraded, because before I didn't give a shit. But then once I cared and I started like getting the float suits and like you want it to last because you're spending that kind of money on it. But the first year I owned it, I like kind of didn't do any cleanup on it.
Yep.
And I just threw it in a tote. And as soon as you put that thing on and you're sitting in the ice house and that heat kicked on and your knees are a little moist from kneeling,
you start stanking.
oh boy, let me tell you, I regretted it instantly, and I never did that again. It was like, okay, every year I'm cleaning my stuff, and it was well worth it because it was so bad.
Oh,
And then you get in the truck and you're just stinky.
Yuck.
So that's, I don't know. I mean, as far as ice fishing gear that's left out, that's it, is my bibs. So
yeah, get them cleaned up, get them put away.
Next up is just basically. Well, we went fishing today.
We did go fishing. Yep. It was too nice. We've been itching at it. I know we talked last week that we were contemplating on going out and getting the line wet, and we finally did it.
Mm-hmm.
And
we got out for what? 2.5 hours?
Couple hours, yeah.
I mean, it was great actually. It kind of a little bit of a stress reliever midweek, and I definitely would recommend it.
We went out to a little lake. I figured it was one of the first ones that's going to warm up quicker than the others. We dipped our toes in. We figured it was probably, mid-40s?
Yeah. I mean, I argued that it was 47.6.
Yeah.
And Max is saying it's only 44. This is just by touch.
Yeah, so you figure your median in there, or probably, 46 and a quarter?
I can't help but think we all need to just cast a vote without actually measuring and just let us know who's right.
Just take one big collective average and we'll just call it good.
Yeah, like go dip your fingers in a lake, like a smaller lake, and then put in the comments who's right. If I'm closer or if Max is closer. I think I'm closer, obviously. I got that baby finger thing going because I got to test the bath water.
Oh, yeah.
So I can just like tell you what that temp is.
Tell you what the temp is.
Yeah, because you're bath watering and I just ashed all over myself. Oh my God. Don't bump the mic. Don't bump the mic. It'll go.
No, we got out. We were throwing some small finesse stuff, seeing if we could catch some panfish.
Didn't.
Didn't you accidentally caught a pike?
Whoops.
Whoopsies.
Whoopsie daisies.
Yeah, shoot.
What was it, like a friggin' 18-inch pike?
Yeah, it maybe broke 20. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just a little snake. I'm sure
Yeah.
it was probably in that bay getting ready to spawn.
Yeah.
It just probably makes sense for the, the 44-degree water temp that we had.
It was fun though. I mean, being it was a 46-degree water temperature, I think they're starting to push up into it a little more now. It starts spawning. No, you and I both missed what?
Couple fish.
Couple fish.
I got broke off, probably from
Yeah.
another pike.
Yep.
Accidentally.
Water
level's way down.
Yeah, it was low, which is scary. That's something I'm actually concerned about a little bit. Is just the report came in and it said I think it was more of like an average in southern Minnesota or mid southern Minnesota, I guess. So like Mankato and the surrounding area.
Yep.
And the average was 9 inches of snow.
Yeah, that's nothing.
No.
I had a customer come in today. She lives on Madison Lake. She said she thinks they're down about 5 feet of water from traditional.
Which, from last summer, Madison Lake especially, because Mom and Dad have a slip out there, and so I'm always pretty consistently, looking at that water level, and we gained it back after last winter to a good extent. It wasn't all the way back to where, it once was, but then by the end of summer, holy shit, we were so low already.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, as long as we get...
Yeah, even if we get an average winter.
Yeah, it was going to be okay, because last winter wasn't... It was like maybe a little bit over, but nothing... I mean, it was just maybe slightly above average, I guess, from what we've had. But the lake levels went back up, and then we got a good amount of rain in the spring. And I mean, technically we're not in spring yet, so hopefully we're going to get rain, but realistically, I don't think it's happening.
No, we're dry. We are way down. It makes me terrified for waterfowl this fall.
Right.
Because if we keep trending this way, I'm gonna lose a lot of the stuff that we hunt.
And the worst part about it is, like, you're just kind of helpless to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Well, and you think about, like, even some of these public accesses and docks that, the DNR puts in or the city puts in, we're starting to run out of room.
Right.
These accesses aren't made to be put out 5 feet further than they're supposed to be put out.
Well, even at the end of last year. At the end of last year, there was some boat launches that
were out of the water. You couldn't even load a boat.
Yeah, you couldn't load a boat. And that was even like 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. Lake levels had already started to recede to the point where that one access on Madison Lake off the beach there, Dad tried to load his pontoon or unload his pontoon and totally just buried the back end of it.
Yep.
And that was 4 or 5 years ago already.
Yep.
And that used to be, you could launch whatever you wanted from there. So it's getting to the point now where you're like, you really start to question, you really start to kind of worry. And there's nothing you could do about it, but also, like,
where are we going?
Yeah. What does this look like in 5 years from now?
Well, like, consistently we're having milder winters. We're getting less snow. We're getting less ice. Our spring doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Our fall barely exists.
Mm-hmm.
Are we headed in a direction where we have one season where we have almost no moisture? Like, it's a scary, scary thing.
Do you turn it? I mean, that, to me, we're talking like Dust Bowl scenario. We're talking basically desert.
Crazy fires out of nowhere.
California got more snow than anybody did this year.
Yeah.
California.
Yep.
Which I get they have the mountain range, but it wasn't just the mountain range. It was like all of California.
Yeah. The desert part of California.
And so you're like, okay, and I understand, like, there's a lot of climate change, and I'm not talking about global warming or anything like that. Like, over time, the Earth does change. Like, if you look at it, and not to get all sciencey, because that's not what we're about anyways.
And we can't.
No. But like,
talking out our ass.
right. But like, what I understand of it is shit changes. But god damn it, none of us expected it to be in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Know? So I don't know.
It is
what
weird.
That makes me scared for Mila. Mostly is just like I want her to experience the same things I did. So like, and how much conservation helps stuff. Because at this point, we're just at the mercy of what it is.
Yeah. What happens is what happens, and I guess we adjust to it on the fly. But it's weird. It's different.
Well, and I'm thinking too, as outdoorsmen and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it'll just come down to you adapt to it.
Yep.
And it's not that I want to, because you'd just like it to not necessarily be a standard, but at least be semi-consistent.
Correct.
Like, you got 3 bad years, and then you get 2 good years. You get 3 bad years, because that's kind of, in my opinion, how I grew up. Not necessarily 3 bad years, but like, you'd get a bad year, you'd get a good year. Get a bad year, get a good year. Get a couple good years, get a bad year. And it would fluctuate enough to where it was like, this is still worth it.
Correct. And I guess, like we said, stagnant is boring. Maybe we just learn to adjust to the new or whatever it is, but
and hope it fluctuates back.
Yeah, it's just it's different, and it is kind of scary because it is unknown at this point.
I guess at this point you just take care of what you can, and just be conscious of. Again, we talked about it last week, just your conservation stuff. Whatever it does help, it helps. It's not going to fix the weather pattern, obviously. But with water levels receding, especially fishing-wise, like, keeping your lake clean is going to be more important than it ever has been.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take a lot less time for whatever pollutants or whatever thing you're dumping in there to adversely affect.
Yep, you just think
lake.
About... You have less volume. The shit can affect it that much quicker, much harsher.
Yeah.
It's just more detrimental. Everything is condensed. All your fish population is condensed. All of your aquatic vegetation is condensed. Any negative things can impact that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Significantly more.
And so you just gotta be cognizant of that, because literally, we're just getting down to the point where that is the only thing you can do.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to do. And we're just going to keep fishing, keep going outdoors, don't give up on it. That's the biggest thing, is don't be like, well, it's just over with, and that is what it is, because that's never going to do any good for anything either. We want to keep our young ones doing this. So
yeah, keep the tradition alive. Don't throw in the towel on it. Adjust as you go.
Yep.
There's only so much we can control, but we love this shit way too much to just give up on it.
So get out there, adapt and overcome to it, and we just got to keep doing it.
Yep.
And keep getting it. And god damn it, put your head up, cast your line, aim your gun, shoot that turkey.
Get out there.
Because that's what we're all about here on the Wilderness Whiskey Roundtable.
We love our wilderness.
We do. So,
speaking of turkeys,
gobble gobble.
I snuck out on Sunday and put the blind up and got some trail cams.
Put the blind
up. And guess who made an appearance on the old trail cam the last couple days?
Mr. Tom Turkey, I'm gonna guess.
Mr. Tomas.
Tomar. Hola, I am Tomar Tatoki.
So I think I'm actually gonna go back out there and move the blind from the field edge down to the bottom by the creek down there, because that's where he's been hanging out. He's been chasing some tail down there, it looks like.
Cool. So I'm hoping to hear better stories than what I had heard from last year.
I'm hoping so too.
This is already starting to be pretty familiar.
Well, I feel like we're off to a little bit better note this year. We got some prospects on camera early.
That's fair enough. I'll give you that. I will. I'll give you credit where credit's due.
We knew there were birds down there last year. We didn't know quite what they were doing yet. So now we got a little insider information.
Just
And,
insider trading
just
over here.
insider trading.
Turkey trade.
I'm hoping we can put a beard on the wall this year.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that for you as well. I wouldn't mind coming to sit with you.
Yeah, that blind, if we move it down there, that can definitely sit 3 people pretty easy, so...
Don't you need a seat to get there?
Because I'm blind?
God,
God, you're funny. Jeepers. Criminy.
I had to. It was there.
It makes
I
the
took it.
turkeys blind.
Oh, golly.
Golly.
Shoot. I didn't know. You know, I've never done the turkey hunting thing, so what even is blind, you know? I don't know.
You wouldn't know if you couldn't see it.
Well, hence why I'd be blind.
So yeah, that's turkey season is middle of April, and I think I'm not gonna be here for the entire archery turkey season. I think I'm gonna pass on the archery season this year. I think I'm gonna shotgun.
Fair enough.
I think I'm gonna book the first week, or 10 days or whatever it is, and I'm gonna try to get it done before I head up to Canada. And then if I'm back in time, I might do a fall archery,
Sure.
which I probably won't do any of because I'll be waterfowl hunting.
And
So I'll just donate my fall archery license to the DNR.
I love you to death, but I got a healthy feeling in my gut. You'll just be doing Canada stuff.
I don't know, dude.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I gotta come back for waterfowl.
Well, I suppose. Okay, so you'll be up there already, right? At that point,
By when?
you're still up there during waterfowl
No,
open.
I'll be back.
You're back already then.
That's a no questions.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no, I'll be back.
But for your turkey stuff,
I'll be up in Canada before the spring archery season ends.
when does slug open for or shotgun start
so
for that?
It starts the same day that archery does, but shotgun is in like 5 different blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Archery runs the whole duration of that. So if you're shotgunning, you have to pick a block. If you're archery hunting, you get to run the whole thing.
Sure.
So I ran archery last year because I knew I needed more time, which obviously didn't matter anyways. I could have had all the time in the world, and it probably wouldn't have happened. But it just doesn't make sense to pay for that tag and only be able to use half the season. So I might as well just run shotgun early and then head on up to Canada.
I mean, sounds like a good week.
That's what I'm thinking. Bag of turkey, roast her up, and then
Go to Canada.
scoot on up.
Golly,
If we can knock that out and then head up and then
I'm nothing but envious.
fish for the rest of the summer.
God damn it, I'm nothing but envious, my friend. I really am not.
What a life to live.
We talked about it the day while we were fishing. I'm like, and it was nice and quiet. And actually, that was something I was thinking about while we were doing it. I'm like, the difference sometimes between just like a good guy friendship and like comparing it to like girl friendships. And I've seen like people do this before. The comparison, it's like, the gossip and the talk, and you're just constantly talking. We said like
10 words.
Yeah, maybe 10 sentences. I'll give us enough to like we still
Hold
talked
the
about
conversation,
stuff. But like it was 10 conversations in like 2.5 hours total, and they weren't long conversations because we were just whipping our lines out there and casting, and we're like, as men, we just bond over that stuff.
Yep, and it was peaceful. It was a freaking blast.
Yep. And we don't have to talk. You just sit there and do not a damn thing.
And I get to do
other
that
than fish. And
for 5 months straight.
God, you're such a dick.
Oh,
God, I hate you.
You lucky bastard, you.
Fucking asshole.
Oh, man.
Blow up the comments downtown there and just say, you bitch.
You son of a gun.
Because, just hate on them because we can. I'm going to get the followers behind me on this one.
Yeah.
Because
whatever.
we're all happy for you, but we're all going to stay at our stupid 9 to 5.
Nobody likes an envious, spiteful friend, Ty.
I'm not, though. I'm not. I support you all the way.
No, I know.
Shit, I'd drive your ass up there if I had to, and then turn around and go home and go to my stupid 9 to 5.
You might have to. You might have to drive a trailer up for us.
That's fine. I'll hook up.
Hook up.
Just looking to hook up. Oh, man.
What did you do this week, buddy? Are you goofing around at the castle a little bit?
I did, yeah. So the castle that we converted for one weekend to the castle. I call it the castle in the winter because it's a castle. You know, it's a nice castle.
Yeah.
I call it the camper in the summer naturally because it's a camper.
Yeah, because you got the RV package.
It was a castle for
All of
one
5 days.
weekend. Yeah, 5 days. We converted it 3 days, 2 days before we left. We used half of the shit that we put in there. Basically, we could have just put the rattle reels in there and it would have been just fine.
Yeah.
We did whole sleeves, all the stuff, you know, that I normally put in there. Because my anticipation was to come back here. It was supposed to get cold again and be able to put it out for a weekend. Didn't happen. So I took the time while the old little was napping the other day, and I grabbed everything that was ice fishing related and I got it out of there.
She's in camper mode now?
She's camper mode, yep. I do have to still de-winterize it, so just get all the antifreeze out of all the lines, but
Yeah.
I'm waiting on that until we have an actual consistent cold. Plus, I still have to dump from Red Lake, which we've talked about a couple times.
Yep, still not dumped.
Still
Another week,
not
no
dumped or washed from Red Lake. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. Also, if anybody knows a good pull-through wash station around the Janesville area,
I got one.
where's that?
What's just the truck wash?
Will you let me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you
Yeah.
go. Okay, well,
All
never
around for
mind.
the truck wash.
So that might be, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. We'll see what happens if I can find somebody to watch the little for a little while so I can go power wash that thing. It needs some love. I feel really bad because, you know, I take pride in taking care of my stuff. But it was bittersweet a little bit because, like I said, it was one weekend. Put all the shit in, pull all the shit out, re-put the camper stuff in there. I still have to sweep it, probably give it a good mop, and then those rugs from Red Lake.
Oh.
They're gonna need to be either A, replaced, or B, pressure washed.
Yeah, we
And
might
that's
just
the
burn
only
those
way.
puppies and just start
Yeah,
over.
they're brown as the starfish. So.
Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah. Yuck. But we might haul that puppy out for a spring fishing trip before I take off.
Yes, I think we need to. I think you pull the boat, I'll pull the castle. We can stay in it. If Dana wants to come, more power. I got plenty of bunks.
Yep.
The sleeping arrangements, in my opinion, don't have to be comfortable. I think you just need a place
That's
to
not
sleep.
the point. Yeah.
Like, let's get up there, get up early, get on the boat, fish all day, come back, have a fire, drink. Obviously, you know, whiskey, beers, the fugazi.
Whatever your thing is.
It's made up, you know. No, I would like to do that.
I think we head out west. I've been wanting to go in North Dakota.
Could do that.
I think that'd be fun. Little Devil's Lake action,
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah.
Some wallies and some perch.
I'm probably gonna have to force one of my brothers to come with me because just to help with gas cost.
What do you think of that, Tal?
You coming with?
I'm down. All right.
Perfect. We do have like a guest sit-in today. He's the audience member, so you might hear random clapping and the
We finally used a button.
we did the cliche laughing and
Little
clapping.
applause.
Do we have the laugh button on there? Because that would be great to throw in here. Just we're so funny. I don't know. Whatever. It's creepy.
But no, yeah, I think that'd be sick. You know, once my boat comes, we might as well hook that puppy up and skirt off to somewhere and do something.
Will that fish 4 of us?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Fair enough.
That's an 18-footer.
Bigger than I got.
Yeah.
I don't have a boat, but
No, bigger than
naturally
Yeah, bigger.
bigger.
Than whatever you got.
bigger than zero.
An 18-foot boat. Yeah. Today, now it's probably a good time to introduce our little new segment, I suppose.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a little gear of the week.
Who's that?
What?
Who's that?
We're gonna talk about gear.
Of the week. What's our gear this week, though?
We're gonna, whatever gear we're working on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I think we talk about the old spinning reels.
Yeah, that was a good one.
because I think that's going to be predominantly what most people lead off with in the spring here.
Mm-hmm.
And we realized today that there were a couple things that we need to work on.
And I'm a spinning reel people. I'm with the people of the spinners. I'm not a bait caster guy.
You're not that bad.
I'm not bad, but like I've just grown up on the spinning reel, and some of that's just pure stubbornness in a sense. But also, I mean, I use both because when I go fishing with you and you got the bait caster out, I'm not afraid of it anymore. I
Yeah.
definitely was.
And there's a time and a place for both of them. And like I said, I think in the spring here, when you're talking more finessey stuff, and obviously there's a time and a place you're going to pick up your flipping stick and you're going to chuck a jig around.
Mm-hmm.
But most people are going to be using spinning reels. And I think it's important to talk about maintaining those.
Yeah. So what we noticed today was a very kind of just you're
It's just a little squeaky.
you're rocking a bed there.
Yeah.
So
Good for you if you're rocking the bed.
if you're rocking a bed, you're rocking a bed, but you ain't looking for it when you're fishing.
No. So, go get a reel maintenance kit. Oil and grease your stuff up.
What do you have a preferred?
I don't really.
Where do you pick them up?
Honestly, any of your sporting goods stores are going to have
Fleet Farm
them.
got them.
Fleet Farm's got them.
Okay. Home Depot.
Walmart. No, not Home
That's not a
Depot.
sporting
It's
goods
not a sporting
place.
goods
I'm just
store.
I'm
Just-
ruling
just
it out for
double check it,
everybody.
yeah. Your
Well-
Fleet Farms, your Cabela's, even Walmart's got them.
Hit the Google.
Yeah. Get something with an oil and a grease. Get your oils on your moving parts. Re-grease your gears and your bearings.
Spool it up then.
Yep.
Got to take the line off to do it. I know.
Yep. And you should anyways.
Yeah, you got to
Because
replace your line.
You should replace your line every once in a while.
That is something I've definitely learned, especially via ice fishing, because it's much worse, I think, than open water fishing in a sense, just because you have tighter, smaller, reel seats and everything, your spools. But over the years, I played the game. I did. I was like 5-6 years on one line,
Yeah.
and then you get that fish, the one you've been looking for.
And it breaks your
Oh
freaking
my
heart.
God. And it took me 10 minutes and like $7 to respool it. You don't have to do it every year,
Nope.
but
But check it.
yes,
Check it every
make sure
year.
it's okay.
You get your dry rot. You get your sun damage.
Yep. Especially open water reels. I mean, they're taking a lot more abuse than what our ice fishing rods do because we tend to like either keep them in cases or they're just indoors
Yep.
pretty much at all times. But your outdoor stuff is outdoor.
Yep. And you get water in your moving parts.
Mhm.
If you fish salt water, you get salt in your shit. You nick rocks and trees and you catch pike and just the stuff gets damaged
Mhm.
and you don't want to find out it's damaged when you're hooked into
Mhm.
something that you
Exactly.
want to catch.
And I've done it.
And it
I've done it
sucks.
way too many times, and I'm an advocate for it because it you think about doing it and you're like, God, it sounds like so much work, but then you lose that fish and you go, I wish I could go back in time and punch myself square in the nuts because it was
For
something
being lazy and cheap. Is all
Exactly.
it comes down to, and it's not even like you said, it doesn't take that much time and it's
No.
not that expensive.
It was something so simplistic, and I would have pulled in potentially one of the best fish of my life because actually that's how I lost one of the best fish I think I ever would have caught through an ice hole.
And that hurts.
It still hurts to today. I was it was when I was younger and I was fishing in my cousin's ice house. We were out on one of our favorites out there and we got out there late. It was like 7:00, I want to say. Got it all set up. Just sat down. I threw the old ugly stick down. Had this ugly stick now for 3 years at this point.
Probably the same damn line that it came with on it.
It's 100,000% was the same goddamn line it came with on it. But I was young and I was naive and I didn't know any better
Yep.
because nobody ever told me this. And sure as shit, I frickin' nailed a big one. And I did. I fought it. We're talking 15 minutes. And finally, here comes the head up the hole. And the head is the size of the hole. I'm freaking out. I can see this thing now, what I've been fighting for 20 minutes. And right as I'm pulling it up out, I go down to reach for the gill, because it was a northern. The biggest one would have ever caught, still to this day, haven't even came close. Went to grab the gill, and there goes the line. Down the hole. And I watched the whole thing. I reached my arm down there. I didn't care. I was like, I hope it bites me because I get it.
I can get it, yeah.
But the stupid thing about it was that was a misinformation thing, or just non-information thing. Nobody ever told me back then, like, oh yeah, you need to replace the line.
Yep.
But it was one of many times to learn that lesson, you know. And some of them were like, well, it was just last year, but you threw it down the hole and you're like, well, maybe I should have replaced it this year. And then you lose a fish again. And you're like, okay. So it's simple. Do it. It's worth it.
Yeah. And if I can give a piece of advice, you know, when you do it right. Take your time. You know, make sure the line is coming off the spool the same way that it goes onto the reel. Mm-hmm. That's really, really important to avoid line twist on your monofilament and your fluorocarbon.
Elaborate on that just a little bit for the people who don't know.
Okay. So if you're thinking a spool round,
mm-hmm.
it's wrapped around this spool a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're putting it on a bait cast reel, that is also vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Have it come over top of the spool of line and
over top of
your spool
into the bait caster.
Sure.
So it's coming off the same way that it rolls off of the spool of line itself.
Yep.
Spinning reel, if you're going to lay it down, have it spin onto the spinning reel the same direction. Avoid mistwisting your line. If you can kind of match the way that it came off the spool.
So with the spool, you're going up and over.
Yep.
Off the spool onto your bail line, right?
Yep.
And you want to be, so it's up and over into the bail line, and that's twisting it up and down, correct?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Just to explain to people who don't know, because I think that's where there's a big disconnect too, is like people who don't know how to do it are afraid to do it. Because I know that was kind of like when I started really getting serious about fishing, I was like, people tell me I'm supposed to change my line, but I
don't know how.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, in a lot of those, if you think about like entry-level reels, they come pre-spooled. So you didn't even have to spool it yourself to even learn from the get-go.
Right. So you got this line that you're just like, oh, well.
And that line's been sitting on it since the factory made it. You know,
could be 2 years
God
ago
knows
already.
how long. Right. So, one, personally, if I'm buying a reel that's pre-spooled, I'm ripping that line off immediately. I'm very rarely buying pre-spooled reels now.
Just killed my first mosquito of the year.
That's so depressing that there's mosquitoes already.
Sorry for the interruption. Keep going.
I'm typically buying reels that aren't spooled because there's really no sense in paying for a reel that's already pre-spooled to rip the line off of it anyways because I don't trust it anymore.
Right. And it feels wasteful. If you're entry level, you're entry level, and that's fine.
Yep.
Like if that's where you want to start, I would suggest it because you don't have to know everything all at once either. Like this is something that, like we've said at the beginning of this podcast, is over the years we learn these little niches and little important things, and that's why we're just trying to spread it to you guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Buy the frickin' first pole. Get yourself out there. Get yourself having the fun of catching fish.
Yep. Get your feet wet. However it happens.
And then you just grow. Like you naturally grow. It wasn't like a overnight thing. You just over time you just pick up on stuff. And when you start picking up on stuff and then you just stop and acknowledge the fact that you learned that, that's exciting too. It makes it that much more fun.
Yeah. So those were the two big things that I can give pointers on for like your monofilament, your fluorocarbon lines. If you're doing braid,
Tell us what you did, Max.
Yep. I was lazy. And again, talking about lazy and cheap.
Mm-hmm. We still do it sometimes.
We still do it.
It still happens.
You kick yourself for it because you know better or you've learned. And I run pretty much exclusively on my spinning reels braid to fluorocarbon leader. And when I spooled my braid on, I didn't put any backing or tape it down. And if you know anything about braid, it slips. So you have to have something for it to dig into or something to lock it in place. And mine was slipping today. She was slipping. So I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to pull all that line off, and I'm going to put a piece of electrical tape on and just lock it in place and rewind it on.
Now, just for curiosity, explain slip too, just to get the information out there.
Yeah, so if you think about, not having this line that's knotted around an arbor on a reel, your centralized post, basically, when you pull on that, it can slip. It can free spin, essentially, where you want that to be tight, and you want your drag to do the slip. You want to have a controlled slip, basically. You want to have it controlled for how fast it can come off of the reel. With your slipping, it can just peel off. There's no control behind it. The drag doesn't do anything. And unfortunately, sometimes when you're hooked into a fish, your reeling doesn't do anything either because there's nothing that locks that in place.
So your whole set of line on the reel is essentially spinning.
Yeah, it's free floating. It doesn't have anything that locks it to the reel.
So the best way, to describe it in my mindset, anyways, in layman's terms, as layman as you can get, is put a cloth around a beer can, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Now take that cloth, hold your hand steady, and spin the beer can.
Yeah.
That cloth ain't moving.
Right.
So you have to anchor your line onto your spool, otherwise you're spinning your tires. You're burning out.
Correct.
You're burning
just
rubber.
getting no traction.
Yep.
Nothing's grabbing. So the two ways to do that, like I said, are you can either do backing, which is essentially you tie on a small bit of fluorocarbon or monofilament, and you tie your braid into that so that your braid can bite into said line as opposed to being on a slick metal.
Yep.
Or you can just tape it down, essentially.
Which, in my mind,
of electrical tape
it
is
sounds
just as easy.
Because that tape's not coming undone, especially once you got all that line pressure on it and everything like that.
And the reason people argue with doing backing is because monofilament is a very, very cheap line, and you can get away with not having to spool your entire spool with expensive braid.
Sure.
So there's merit behind, if you have old shitty mono, maybe something you pulled off a pre-spooled rod or something.
Oh, so you put a fairly decent amount on.
You can put a significant amount of backing on.
Just
because you figure, you're casting maybe 100, 150 yards if you can huck it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a 300-foot spool.
No.
Full of braid. So as long as you have a substantial amount of backing on there, you can essentially give yourself a base without having to use the entire spool of braid, and it can be a little bit cheaper when you're spooling your reels up.
Right. And that makes sense. I mean, either way, that's when, because I'm a big advocate for just not wasting shit, and that's part of the reason, especially as a younger fisherman, I was like, well, the line still works. You know what I mean? And you think about it that way, and I understand that too. And I don't know what the answer is to that, because I just generally don't like throwing away year-old line.
No, I've actually heard of people peeling all their line off and putting it on backwards,
just to get the newer stuff.
The stuff
untouched stuff.
Yeah, the stuff
front
that hasn't been damaged from ice nicks or branches or rocks or something like that. You essentially use your shitty line as a backing, and you use your untouched stuff as the front end of your lure that you tie off to.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually a good idea. Shit, yeah. I had to pause there because I'm really calculating that. I'm in one of line I've wasted, and it's essential, and I get that, but if I can help a little bit somewhere, just not throwing fucking all my line away into somewhere where it fucking, God damn it, save the turtles and stuff,
And if finances are if finances are the issue, that's a tangible way to save money on having to get new line every time you respool. You can essentially get 2 spools out of 1 line.
Right. Yeah, you're doubling down. You're getting your money's worth essentially. Yep. You know what? Just out of shits and gigs, next year. Obviously, it's a year out. Sorry about it. So if you're tuned in now, you're gonna have to just keep tuning in until I do it. But I'll do it. I'll do it on like 3 or 4 of my rods. I'll just flip the line around and see what happens.
Well,
see if it's tangible.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool comparison. Let's respool one of our typical fishing rod reels that we use, and then take a second one that we use equally as frequent, and just flip the line around on it.
Yep.
And see if we have any more noticeable break-offs or anything like that.
And I can't help but think if you can figure out a way to... Well, I'm supposing it's coming off one way. Well, it'd still be reversed, right?
Yeah.
So even your line memory should technically be reversed at that point, right?
Correct. It would be the same.
Would it be the same?
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture it.
Because it would come off and get respooled the same way.
The same way it came off of the original spool.
Correct.
Right,
yeah.
because it'd be hard to, or impossible, I guess, to... Because what I was thinking is you would delete the line memory.
Sure. You would just want to respool it on the same way that it came off again, just in reverse.
Flip the spool around?
No, it would come up
same way.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
You would use the same way.
Yeah.
Yep. The hard part is you need some space to do it because you're peeling a lot of line off, and then you're just, you don't want any tangles within your other line.
Right.
That's happened to me before too, where I peel the entire amount of line off, and then I end up with a knot in the middle of it, and it's just shot.
Yeah. As far as tangled line goes, though, folks...
I just admitted to the fact that I have had knots, Tyler.
If you folks want to talk about tangled line, I am sitting next to Untangled Jesus. Praise the Lord of Untangled Jesus. Holy shit. Dude, you have this weird gift. You do. And I don't know if it's just a patience-based thing or what it is, but it's not even patience because you do it so fast that you don't even need patience. This guy has untangled some shit that I looked at it and I went, no. I'll cut it and I'll redo it. And he's like, no, hold on a second. And he's like, something that would have taken me easily a half hour, he's like... And so he's messing with this line and he's... And all of a sudden he's like, here you go. I'm like, what? Like, I mean, I have had, especially ice fishing.
Yeah.
That's where, because I feel like a lot of the times ice fishing, I can't say it's worse than open water fishing. Open water fishing, I feel like generally you can really fuck yourself.
Oh, open water's bad because you get wind blown stuff.
Yeah, and which is what we experienced today. It was like I actually threw it over a power line just because I thought of it. And so branching off, threw it over a power line, and this power line is full of lures.
Oh, it's covered.
Like there's like 18 of them on one line.
It may no longer be conductive through the power line. It may be just conductive through all of the metal that
fishing
is touching
line.
each other on there.
And so I didn't even go over the power line. I went through this little portion. There's like a 4 to 6 inch gap of fishing line that just happened to be hanging down that I couldn't even see until after I went through it. And then then my eye picked it up and I'm like, oh. So I tried to reel my line up and it just wrapped around that fishing line. So I ripped that off.
Yeah, so old Untangles Magoo over here, I couldn't get that one done for you, but...
No, there's nothing you could have done on that one, unfortunately. But, getting back to Untangled Jesus over here, I have had a line so twisted up that, like, I was looking at it and I was messing with it easily for 10 minutes. And he comes over and he goes, let me see that. and he picks it up, and he's like, he does his thing. And then he's like, here you go. And I just stop, and there's no word said. I just look at him, and I'm like,
What?
how? There's no way. There's no way you just did that, because no. It just doesn't even make sense. You're an anomaly, because I don't know. I've been fishing long enough to have enough people who have also been fishing longer than I have in my life to where they're like, they can untangle stuff, but it takes them time to untangle stuff. And then even some of the stuff that I've done to some of the lines, and it was, or their own lines, and they just go, "Oh, just cut it and restart." I think you and I have cut it and restart maybe once ever in our fishing experience together,
Yeah.
and that's because it literally just created like 3 knots.
Oh, yeah, and once you get a knot, you're screwed. So the big thing, just don't pull on it from either end. That's one of the worst things you can do. But I've picked so many backlashes out of a bait caster. I've fixed so many wind-blown, twisty, freaking craziness out of a spinning reel. Somehow spinning tackle wraps itself around rod tips a lot. Like, there's just weird shit that happens a lot of times. And I think I've just done it so many times that it's just like, it's one of 3 things. And once I figure out which one of those 3 it is, you just got to dissect it from there. And I'm cheap. I've cut my fair share of backlashes out of a bait caster. That sucks.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was the culprit of. It was the first time I'd ever used a bait caster, and I was fishing. I finally had kind of like got it right. So I was doing it, and then like all of a sudden I looked down. And I'm like, oh, there is a rat's nest on the inside of the spool.
Bird's nest is the best description of what happens to those things.
Yeah.
Like, backlash just doesn't even make sense when you can. If you picture a bird's nest, that's exactly what it looks like.
And I felt really bad because the guy who, at the time I was younger, like I said, he grabbed it and he's like, "No, it's okay. It happens. Like, you're new to this. It's no big deal. Let me see what I can do." And he sat there. And he sat there. And after a half hour, he's like, "I'm going to have to re-spool this line." And I'm just like, I felt so horrible. And that was my first experience with a bait caster. So there's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason that I was like, okay, I'm just never buying a bait caster.
Yeah. Well, and there's nothing worse than like when you cut those.
Yeah.
You pick out like the tiniest little 3-inch pieces of line because you just cut so many overlaps that you just have little strings that come out of the thing as you are respooling it.
You're not getting that back. You're not fixing that.
There's no getting that back.
Right. Ugh.
But, I think that's, something that I'm going to have to deal with too as a guide coming up is, there's going to be probably some inexperienced people who haven't used a bait caster, or, we get a windy day and you get a wind blown spinning reel or something, and you're going to have to pick some stuff out, and that's fine.
And that's something not to, in my own experience, don't let it stray you away from certain things. I've learned that now, is because there is a way to fix it.
Yep.
That it's not the end of the world, even if it does come down to like, well, I'll clip the line and we'll see what we got left.
Yeah. And at the end of the day too, like, that's also why I bring out so many combos.
Mm-hmm.
Because shit happens.
Yeah.
If you get backlash to the point of no return, what do you do? Put it back in the boat and you pick up a different one.
Yeah. And you can line it with whatever you want. And that's something too, like, learning over time with the fishing side of it is like, it actually doesn't take that long to re-tie on a new lure.
No.
And that's something growing up, because of who I learned to fish from and like how I fished and stuff like that. Like, there was always this like, well, if you have to retie a fishing lure on, geez, it's a big undertaking. Yeah, it was always a waste of time thing.
Or you felt like you were an inconvenience, or that you were hindering the outing, or it's not that serious.
No, you have to remember you're fishing, and everybody goes through it. So if you feel like you if you feel you're the one who's causing problems, it's not true. It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Even the guys who have been doing it forever, it just happens. And honestly, something I wish that some of these bigger fishing channels and stuff like that would show is stuff like that. And that's something I think you and I could like embark on, that is like, because we've started videoing more of our stuff that we do and stuff. I would rather just show you either how to do it, how to untangle it, because I think it's valuable information.
Yep.
Or even if it does come down to cutting it, I'll show you that shit, because people need to know that it's okay, because everybody watches these professionals and it's like, oh my God, these guys are casting all day long and it never happens. No, that's not true at all. They just don't show it.
Yeah. And I think one of my like all time, and when I reached my tipping point of like, okay, this is normal, I was watching Bassmaster, and I was watching a guy. He was trying to like, the floating docks. They have those floats, and he got that little like 6-inch spot between floats, and he was trying to skip this bait under this dock.
Yep.
And he hit the float 3-4 times. He got a backlash on live, and I was like, okay, like you don't get to see that. Like, you think these guys are hitting their spots every single time? You don't think they're ever getting a backlash anymore? It happens.
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us.
It's still fishing.
Yeah, that's
Not
just
everybody's
real
perfect.
life.
Yep. Yeah, like that's where I think there's a disconnect between your just Joe Schmo who's going out on the weekends. He's got just his John boat, and he's going out fishing, and he's like, God, I don't know if everybody else is dealing with this. I'm getting discouraged because it keeps happening to me. Realistically, it happens to everybody.
Well, and it's happening to the people in the 21-foot bass boats that are rigged up with everything. They're having motor issues. They're getting caught in their trolling motor. They're having backlashes.
Yep.
They're losing fish at the boat. Like, that's just real life.
And I think that's what kind of this podcast and what this channel and Burley Outdoors, we're going to show you that stuff because I think it's valuable information, and it makes you feel better.
It's the humanized aspect of the sport. Same thing. Professional wide receivers drop passes still.
Yeah.
Like, you can still be the best at something, and human error or equipment failure, it's just uncontrollables that exist in the world.
It's going to happen.
Don't get discouraged. Pick the backlash.
Keep on pushing through.
Snip your line.
Yeah.
Retie that lure. Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. Like, don't let it ruin your day, because that's what I grew up on. It was like
the end of the world.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, I have to tie another.
Let's pack it up. Let's go home now, Ty.
We're just done fishing now because I have to tie a lure.
Throw this whole fucking thing away.
This rod sucks. No, just do it, and it's gonna take you a little bit of time. And if anything, learn to do it correctly, so that even if it doesn't happen on your current outing, you're gonna do it better next time now.
Yeah.
Like, use it. A failure is the best thing, and this is in life in general. You fail, it makes you better. If you're consistently winning, guess what? You're gonna become docile, and it's never gonna be. There's not gonna challenge anymore, and you're gonna get bored of it.
Well, and when that inevitable failure comes, you're not gonna know what to do with it. So, accept the failures, appreciate them. Because that's how I got good at untangling stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I got good at setting settings on a bait caster.
And this is Untangled Jesus, so his word is prophet.
Coming from the gospel. You'll learn with it. I didn't figure that stuff out just willy-nilly. I had my fair amount of struggles and fair amount of times that I had to pick that myself. Like,
I think what we should do. Now, bear with me here. I think what I'm going to make you do, specifically, is I think what we should do, and I don't know when we'll be able to do it, but we should make a segment on it, is just be like, okay, we're out there fishing anyways, and we get one of these tangles. I think from now on, what we should do is like video what you're doing. You give a little talk through how to untangle it, because I think that's valuable to people.
Yeah, and I mean, even if we record it and I do a voiceover as it's happening, like after the fact, voice over the video and explain what I did during the process or whatever, I'll even come in your garage and purposely do it.
Yeah.
Recreate some
Yeah,
of those things that
100%.
happen on the water or whatever. Like, if that's helpful, I will absolutely gladly do it, because I think it is valuable information that not a lot of people get to see or experience. And if I can provide that insight, I think that would be really cool.
Do it up. I think we do it because we don't want to just be the same, like, not that we're pros, but like we don't want to go that professional level. Everything's perfect. Everything is this and that. We're just as real as everybody else. We're out here. We're dudes who like to fish. We're dudes who are in the shop. We're just having a good time with it. And if we can teach you how to continue to have a good time, if we can teach you to continue to have a good time, that's our goal.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
No.
Ever.
And maybe we'll call it Tangled Tuesday.
Mm.
And just do a little segment on it every month or something.
Here's a bird's nest.
This is how you pick it.
Yep. Pick a bird's nest. Okay, so it's getting later in the podcast here. We haven't done our whiskey segment yet. We're gonna try and start doing this more in the middle of the podcast. The last two now have been at the end, so be it, whatever. But actually, what are we drinking tonight?
We're drinking Cooper's Mark Bourbon Whiskey Small Batch.
One of my absolute favorites. I picked this bottle up for the first time. It probably would have been 2 years ago. For whatever reason, I could not find it again.
I can't honestly say that I've ever seen this bottle.
So I had this bottle sitting in my cupboard for easily a couple years after I bought it, because I was drinking it so slowly because I couldn't find it again. And so I actually found it, and where I found it was a Cashwise liquor store. So shout out Cashwise for the favorite whiskey. Not sponsored by them or nothing, obviously, but this, it's a tall, really thin bottle. And I like me my thin bottles in the winter, especially because they fit really nicely in the back pocket of your seat. Now, I'm not saying drink and drive. That's not at all what I'm getting at. It's more for the transportation of.
Yeah, it's your travel bottle.
Right. That's true. Like, this bottle is so easy to pour because I can just grip my whole frickin' giant meat paw around it. Which, speaking of meat paws, just a little cutaway here is every time I take a picture holding a fish,
it looks like the smallest fish to ever exist.
Yeah,
because old freaking gorilla hands.
I've got gorilla fingers. I took a picture of the pike I caught by accident, by the way.
You accidentally took the picture? Or you
No. I accidentally caught the pike. Wasn't going for pike, but he bit. And I pulled it up, and Max is like, okay, slide your hands down. And he's taking the picture, and here I'm thinking, okay, he told me to, so this time he actually, told me to do that, because when I caught a trout, he didn't tell me to, and so
But obviously it doesn't matter.
Well, now I know, but I didn't then. I thought it was your fault, because I was holding the trout, and it looked like the trout was frickin' just
consumed by your hands.
Like most of it was just hands. So
in this picture, you have a hard time telling this is even a northern pike.
Yeah. and Max tried to negate for my meat paws, and so like I'm gonna have to try and hold him by like pointer, middle, and thumb.
Just the fingernails. Just like...
because I frickin' just engulf these fish in my hands, and so it makes my fish look frickin' small. But whiskey of the day, Cooper's Mark, very smooth, very very smooth.
It is charcoal filtered.
Mm.
Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting.
Yeah, because there's your charcoal label up top there
Yeah.
on your
Yeah.
your seal. It's a tall, skinny bottle. It's just like a half circle at the top, square in the bottom with the neck.
Yep. 91 proof. Charcoal filtered, extra smooth.
It is a small batch whiskey,
Yep.
which we like.
Yep, we've talked about that a few times. If you find your small batch, it's going to have some unique flavors to it. What are you picking up?
Gotta chew it a little bit. It's a very caramely. It's got a sweet after note and then a burn at the end. So, sweet at the front, caramely in the middle, and a burn at the end.
It is a little bit spicy for a 91.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interesting. Affordable bottle.
Yeah, I picked this up for $28, I want to say. $29.
Okay.
Honestly, this is something I like to just have in my cupboard. If you're looking for something to go over ice, this is a bottle for over ice. I've never mixed it with anything because I just never have felt the need to. If you wanted to make a mean whiskey ginger, I'm thinking you could with this.
Probably pretty dang good.
I'm not a whiskey snob, only with certain bottles where I'm like, okay, I just won't mix this. I wouldn't feel super guilty about mixing this one, but I also don't feel the need to.
Yeah.
But she has a bite at the back end of it.
Yep. It's
spicy.
It's spicy and it's almost like dry.
Mm-hmm.
Like you almost like
a dry wine.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I do pick up the caramel, and that's about really all I'm getting out of this one, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm. Caramel, there's fruity notes from the smell. You get a little bit of the fruity note from the smell. A vanilla-y caramel, I would say, though, is mostly what the pre-taste is of it.
All right, let's take a peek at what the professionals say.
Because that's not us.
Not us.
You'd think it would be by now, for as much whiskey as we consume, especially on Wednesdays. But no, it's hard to do the notes.
Yeah, so the bosses at Max Beer and Wine, Max, M-A-C-S. Max. We are showing a blend of 4, 5, and 6-year-old bourbons, hence the small batch. Pale golden color with aromas of whole nuts, nougat, and a caramel follow-through. On the palate, we have a soft entry and a dryish medium body with grain cereal, anise, and spice notes, finished with a solid toast and toffee fade.
Toffee, yeah. I see the toffee.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. I definitely think the caramel comes up first.
The caramel is loud.
Yeah, it's right off the bat. I'm like, you smell it, you taste it.
I get the spice notes.
Yeah, the follow through is where you really get that spice.
Yep.
It's a good bottle, honestly.
The nougatiness
Nougatiness.
is throwing me for a loop. I don't.
No,
really
you get
understand.
in this.
No, you don't get this.
No, you ain't
You don't.
getting
No,
it.
you don't get what I'm saying.
You ain't getting it. Nougat and good.
But yeah, it is nutty. It's caramely. It's spicy, and it's pretty freaking good.
It pairs really nicely. We're smoking just some Cuban rounds.
Just some regular, readily available cigars.
Yeah,
The old Cubano round.
and it tastes really good with this. Actually,
Yeah.
like that. This is one of the better cigar pairings that I've had. As far as whiskey to cigar ratio, because if you start smoking cigars and you're drinking whiskey, you definitely start to pick up on like what pairs nicely and what doesn't. Because we've had a couple of whiskeys that we were already smoking the cigar, and we're drinking the whiskey, and it's like, they're there, but these pair super nicely together.
Yeah, and I will say, these Cuban rounds are a lighter colored cigar, and I have noticed matching your shades matter.
Sure.
Like if you're drinking a really, really dark bourbon or a dark whiskey,
Dark cigar. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you tend to have more of like those coffee, nutty notes that match with that dark cigar.
It's kind of the same thing with like mixing drinks in a sense, is like dark with dark, light with light.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
No, it's a good bottle. It's a good buy for sure. I've had, this is my third bottle of it just because I couldn't find it anymore after I bought the first one. I will continue to go to that liquor store now and probably pick up a fresh one.
Nice to know that we found it again.
Right. So that's the bottle of the week. I'm gonna go ahead and say we could probably wrap up with that.
We're hour and a half deep again already, which is crazy.
So at the end of this one, because we're on number 5, let us know what we're doing wrong more than what we're doing right. We just like the feedback, honestly. Like if you listened in and you made it this far already, obviously you're interested in what we're saying, so even if it kills you, just leave a simple comment what we could do better, because we're really, really striving to just become greatness. And I don't remember if we talked about it earlier in the podcast, but we've got a full new system coming around.
We did.
Did we talk about it? Are you sure?
Positive.
Because we took 5 takes on this one.
Yeah, I guess maybe. I don't even know.
So just to reiterate it, stick with us. The microphone that we're currently using is going out the door because it's what's causing the problem. The soundboard that we're using is causing a problem. Out the window, we're going to have some high quality actual podcast equipment now. And so just stick with us. Keep liking, keep commenting, do whatever you got to do. Till next week, we're going to keep chugging along. We're going to try and get out fishing a couple more times, hopefully throughout the weekend and next week. You're going up to the trade show.
Yep, so I should come back with some fun stuff from that too.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the trade show going out quick, just so everybody knows.
Yep, so it's going to be predominantly a boating and fishing trade show. We'll be there Thursday through Sunday up in Minneapolis. We're going to be just promoting the camp essentially up there. And we're hoping we can get involved with some like-minded people, meet some other people who are in the industry. Just a good networking venture. And, like I said, I'm hoping we can meet some pretty cool people who may or may not get involved in some of this stuff that we're doing. And hopefully next week we come back with some more cool stuff to share with you guys.
Well, once again, we love you guys.
We appreciate you.
We do. More than anything, like, everybody on podcasts say this, like, they say this. They're like, we love our viewers, we love this, we love that. It's a legitimate thing, and we didn't know this until we started doing it, but you guys are important.
Yeah, and like we said, it literally made our day when we opened up those metrics and saw how many people were listening and how many people were entertained by us, and it's something that we just want to continue to grow upon and hope we can reach some more people. So we just appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning into another one. We'll catch you on the flip.
Number 5, we are out of here. Thank you guys again. This is the Wilderness Whiskey Roundtable. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Max.
And we are sending it out. Happy Wednesday, folks. Let's do it again next week. We'll see you there. Cheers.
Adios.
Thank you.